Today, when I look around in the world, what do I see? I see footprints that man have left on the sand while walking through times. I see fruits of our ambitions, figments of our imagination.
We are live here in the program, Who You Voting For? This evening, my dear friends, we have in studio, we have here live, Mr. Barry Joel Desaine. Mr. Barry Joel Desaine is vying for the position of General Secretary. Mr. Desaine, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Mr. Joel, last week, Thursday, we launched the program, Who You Voting For? Did you take a look at the program?
Yes, I looked at it. I even made a copy of it as well.
Okay, so what is your take on the program?
It's a good initiative. I like the fact that you're trying to get a message out to people about different candidates and so on. We have some things that you could probably work on.
Yes.
To improve the program format and so on. But I think when you get this live format, when you're talking to people and so on, it will improve the attention span of people and so on.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Joel Desaine, Mr. Barry Joel Desaine. Now, for those who don't know Mr. Barry Joel Desaine, tell me, who is Barry Joel Desaine?
Okay, the first thing you need to know is that my last name is pronounced as Desaine.
Desaine?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So my name is Barry Joel Desaine.
Desaine?
Yes, I'm a senior teacher at St. Augustine South Government Primary School.
Mm-hmm.
I've been teaching since 1994. Probably you could say 1993 because I started as an OJT in the OJT program way back in 93. So it's almost 20 years that I'm in the service. I'm married. I actually married my wife while I was an OJT in 93.
Okay.
Right? And it's because I made a promise that I would have married at that time. Prior to being in teaching, I worked at Republic Bank for about 2 years. I worked at the Ministry of Education just for a little while. I worked with the Ministry of National Security as well in curricular areas. I also worked at Trinidad the Trans-Cable Company Limited. And it was during that time that I got laid off when I was preparing to get married.
Wow.
And it caused a bit of a quandary, but God always provides.
Yes.
And eventually I got an opportunity to get into the OJT program. And because I made a promise to marry, I kept to my word and we did get married on an OJT salary of $880 per month.
Just repeat that, please. Come on.
It was $880
Wow.
stipend at the
Yes,
time.
yes.
So it was a struggle initially, but I'm saying this because I want people to understand that when I make a promise,
Yes.
I keep that promise.
Excellent.
All right? So I don't usually go out and make promises to people that I know I can't keep.
Okay.
All right? But if I say I'm going to do something, you can bet your bottom dollar that I'm trying to get it done. All right?
Excellent.
So what else you want to find out about me? I think online people know that I'm well involved in church. I'm ordained the minister with the Trinidad Pentecostal Church of God. I've been ordained since 2000. And I work extensively in that organization on many different roles, including being the youth director for all the churches for a number of years. Right? I've served as parliamentarian in the conventions. Okay? I have sought office, and up to recently I was the national secretary of the organization. I just stepped down in August in order to devote some more time towards TTUTA and this.
Okay. So you have a wide background, I must say, Mr. Desaine. Okay, Desaine, right?
Desaine,
right. Now, you are vying for the post of General Secretary. Tell us, as far as you're concerned, what are the functions of a General Secretary?
Well, the responsibilities of General Secretary is clearly delimited in the Trinidad TTUTA's constitution. It's very much laid out there. But I like to summarize things and make it a little easier to remember.
Yes.
And I've put online a chart that kind of shows the different areas. Really and truly, it's just like three major components involved in that office. To collate,
Yes.
to collaborate, and to communicate.
All right. 3 C's.
3 C's.
Okay.
The Office of General Secretary, in terms of collation, he has to prepare all the minutes of the various meetings that he attends and so on. Right? Minutes of meetings. He has to ensure that reports are done timely. And he also was responsible for things like the database, the membership, and so on. So the reports. So you have reports, minutes, and reports under collation. Right?
Okay.
Under collaboration, there are a number of committees he is involved in and he has to work in as well. Some of them as the secretary of the committee, and others as the chairman. Just one really as the chairman, which is in the Caribbean Union Teachers Committee. He's supposed to chair that committee. He's supposed to work very closely with the first vice president in the area of the Professional Advancement Committee, as well as the Central Education Committee. So those two areas, those two committees really deal with education matters on the whole. Right? So the General Secretary needs to know about what is going on in education across the board. Okay. Right? He also has to work with the President, whose portfolio really deals with publicity and public relations. Right? So he works in the Publicity and Public Relations Committee as well. Right, so in terms of collaboration, he has to collaborate with many of the officers in the union. Right? So I personally believe that the post of General Secretary is a critical one really in terms of cementing a team, in terms of getting people together and dealing with issues and the whole communication flow from one department to the next and so on. Right? It's important for that. He's a kind of behind-the-scene person, he or she, I should say.
Yes.
He's a kind of behind-the-scene person because you don't really hear much about that person unless it's media releases or what, right? Okay. Generally, the face of the union tend to be the president or the first VP, depending on the situation. Although from time to time, the general secretary can be called upon to do an interview or something.
That's right.
So he must also be skilled in doing things like that as well. In terms of the communication aspect, well, that's a major aspect of the department because he has oversight over things like the publications of the union, including the TTUTA news and so on. He would have to be in charge of the union's website. And that is an area that is very dear to me in some regard. Years ago, there's been stray a little bit because there's some talk about why Mr. Barry Joel Desaine has not been involved in the union in the past. And I want to make it clear to people that about 6 years ago, at my school, we had a visit by the DFO, who was then a candidate for elections. Yes, I wouldn't call his name. Okay. He was a candidate for elections, and I raised some issues with him after the meeting about the website. I said, sir, I'm looking at this website. It has potential to bring out information that teachers will need. And I'm not satisfied with what's going on. I would like to offer my services to help. Yes. Right? I'm not asking for a salary, I'm not asking for anything. I'm volunteering to help you with the website.
What was his response?
And his response was, we have had discussions about it at the union and they have it under control. There is a committee that is dealing with that and they're looking at that and they're going to have that solved. Because we had a matter that he was dealing with in school, he came back about a month later. And I asked him for an update about what was going on. Actually, it probably was about 3 months later, because it was the next day. I asked him for an update about what was going on, and he said, no, it's in order, everything. Very soon you will see. Yes. And that very soon, by the way, was 3 years afterwards. 3 years afterwards or so, then the union put up a new website, which to me didn't really it wasn't a big difference from what was there in the old one.
Yes.
Some of the information was updated and so on. And up to today, in my opinion, the website is not really in the condition it ought to be in. The response of the gentleman way back then discouraged me at that time from getting involved in the union. Because you see, people are asking for teachers to get involved, but they want to get them involved on their terms, okay? Right? And the skills I have were in IT. That's where I volunteer.
Okay. Well, that brings me to this point, this question, Mr. Desaine, right? What makes you eligible for this position of General Secretary? Why Mr. Barry? Why you?
Well, I'm not the type of person who like to toot my horn. Right?
You go ahead, sir. I want to hear from you. Why you?
But there are some things that I can bring to the floor that will benefit the union. To start with, I have a very strong background in education. I don't think anybody's going to dispute that. I'm currently a candidate for a DPhil in leadership and social change. I completed a master's in organizational leadership.
Okay.
In 2011. Prior to that, I did a bachelor's degree in management studies. So qualification-wise, I know very well that I meet all the requirements, qualification-wise. That to me is not even an issue. For most people, the problem that they are having with me is whether I have enough experience in TTUTA. And I want to say to those people who have that kind of, fear and so on, that really and truly, the experience is not as critical as having institutional knowledge. Right? I have done research on leadership for my studies, as well as for even the things that I've had to do in terms of leadership in the past. And I've always found that experience is overrated in some way. I'm not discounting experience on a whole, I'm saying that it's a bit overrated at times. Because I see teachers almost every day get opportunities to serve as vice principal, or principals, and they do a good job. Not because they have had experiences before, but because they have the institutional knowledge required to do the job. Okay? Alright, so I'm making the point that it is institutional knowledge of tutor that will make a difference, not the experiences.
Yes.
On top of that, I know quite a few people who are very well experienced in the union, but have not really made a mark in any way. You have not really, contributed significantly to making the union what it is.
I won't ask you to tell me any names, but you go ahead.
I wouldn't call names, that's all.
Yes.
In fact, I'm not about mudslinging or about negative comments and stuff about people. I want people to know this because I believe personally that my job is to add value to anything I do. Right? So if I'm placed in a school to work as a teacher, I'm going to look there, see what I can do to add value to that institution. If I go to a church to work, that's what I do. And it's the same thing I'm going to do in the union. If I go in there, I'm not going there to step on people's toes. I'm not going there to criticize. I'm going there to say, look, these are some of the problems, and here's how I can help you be better at what you do.
Excellent.
All right? And that's my approach to what is going on.
Excellent.
All right? I don't, as I was pointing out earlier, it's not so much about the experience as it is about the institutional knowledge. Over the last 2 years, I've been involved online with a group called The Teacher's Voice. Within that group, we have had discussions about many things that affect teachers, including the union. And there are people who are critical about what is said. And I understand that, because if you're working in the union, you're going to feel how that people are critical of what you're doing and what is going on there. But we need to listen to what people are saying. If these are the people you're serving, you must find out the feedback from them. What do you really think about the union? And I know very well that there are so many things that people are very much dissatisfied with the union. When I came into the forefront, I decided that I was going to present myself as a candidate. It was really for two reasons. Number one, because I got a dare. there was a particular teacher online who was making statements to the effect that, you shouldn't criticize if you're not willing to come out and do something about it.
Yes.
And she was right. I believe she was right. She had every right to make a statement like that. And I agree with that statement that, if I shouldn't be making criticism of people unless I'm willing to do something to change.
That's right.
That's the only reason why initially that I said, I'm going to do this. Right? What developed after that was looking into the problems of the union and seeing whether, I can make a difference here. Not only just in the office, but in terms of inspiring people to get involved. You see, a lot of people, they're really not interested in what's going on in the union. I mean, that's what I'm learning. I hadn't been interested for a number of years until about 6 years ago with the issue of the website.
Yes.
Right? And a lot of teachers are not really involved in what is going on, not even interested in what is going on. But I'm encouraged by the support I'm getting. There are a number of teachers who are telling me, listen, if you win this election, I'm going to get involved. Right? If you get into office, I want to follow you. Right? And that is encouraging to me as an individual, to know that win, lose, or draw, people are going to still say, well, that is inspirational.
Definitely.
And I want to get involved because of that.
Excellent. Excellent, Mr. Barry. I will stay, Mr. Barry, to be on the safe side, all right? Excellent. It's not time for something. It's not time for the quote of the night. And the quote of the night is from Eleanor Roosevelt, the First Lady of America, 1933 to 1945. And Eleanor Roosevelt was the wife of Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of America. I quote, "Do what you feel in your heart to be right, for you'll be criticized anyway. You'll be damned if you do, and damned if you don't." I repeat, you'll be damned if you do, and damned if you don't. So why do you think about that quote?
Well, I think it's human nature that people tend to criticize. Right? And if we are going to be so swayed by public criticism, then we're not going to get much done. That's my take on it. I've been criticized online. For those people, I've been criticized in my workplace. Not very often, but it happens from time to time. And you can't allow that to deter you from what you have to do. I believe God has put all of us on this planet for His purpose, for a reason.
That's correct.
And the onus is on us to determine what is that purpose and see how well we can fit into that purpose, regardless of what anybody else says.
Excellent. Mr. Barry, things are heating up as October 24th gets closer. In other words, it's getting hotter than chula. What's your perspective on that? Because we're seeing things happening, we're seeing the atmosphere, everything is changing, and the way people are campaigning and so on, it's different.
There are some things I'm a bit disappointed about. I will be honest with you on that. TTUTA election is very much, it operates very much like national elections in terms of the campaign strategies being used and so on and so forth. I'm seeing one particular team, their strategy has been to, present the candidates and they say all the nice, colorful things. And their support base is saying all the negative things about yourself. That's a strategy that I know is used even in national politics as well. Because you don't want the candidate to look bad. You want the candidate to always look clean. So they have people in the background who will do the negative campaign for them, right? That's not nice. I've found too that, if you're online, you will know that I've been very vocal about this whole concept of team politicking in Twitter. I'm totally opposed to team politicking. I shouldn't say totally opposed, but I'm opposed because of what I'm seeing happening right now. Right? team politicking divides us.
That's correct, yes.
When you have a team going out there, whether it's team A or team B, and you have all these people clamoring and throwing mud at each other, it only divides the teachers in the service. Right? And that is not good for a union, because when we are ready to go out and stomp the ground against the ministry or whoever else is against us, we need to consolidate and come together.
That's correct. That's the point I'm trying to make, yes.
Alright, so I am not too happy with the way the politicking goes in TTUTA. Right? Now I understand the arguments for having teams. There's a gentleman who came online and explained that, people don't have the resources to campaign and they don't have the time. So when we come together as a team, we can go out there and we can, divide and work and campaign effectively.
Yeah, but sometimes with this team thing, sometimes somebody can come to the cracks. It's like you open the door and you're going outside and a fly comes in. You didn't want the fly to come in, but the fly comes in inadvertently. It comes in.
Well, I agree with you to a certain extent, and this is why I said a little while ago, I'm opposed to the team idea, but not totally opposed to it. Because if your team would have systems in place and processes in place that delineates clearly what are your philosophy statement, what is your process, what are the values you hold to, and you have allowances for the average everyday member to be able to approach the team and say, look, I want to get involved. And they go through the process to get to that point. Then you have a lot more credibility as a team. Right? So there are allowances for having a team. I don't really see a problem with the concept. It's just the way it's being done right now in TTUTA is not the best thing. And as I was saying before, the mudslinging is causing polarization. We need to change that.
Okay, I agree. So you mentioned mudslinging. Now I want to ask you a question. How has this election impinged on your family life, both positively and negatively?
Well, as a father and a husband, I believe my major role is to protect my wife and my children. So there are things that are said that I will not let them know.
Yes.
Right? Simply because I want to protect them from hurt and so on and so forth. I think any parent would do that. Right? Any conscientious husband will do that with his wife as well. But other than that, they are very supportive of what I'm doing. My wife has learned a long time ago that once I make my mind up with something, it's easier for her to just say, how can I help? than to oppose it.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And she has been very, very supportive with everything I've ever put myself forward to do. And I'm very grateful to her for that.
Excellent. Excellent. She sounded like my wife. Mr. Barry, it has been stated that, and I quote, Barry is an armchair individual, desperately seeking office. He is a classical opportunist. How do you respond to that? Firstly, what do you glean from that statement?
That's a politically incorrect statement, and it's also a morally incorrect statement. Right? But it was said only for political reasons. I know the person who made the statement.
Okay.
It was not on all names, but it was said on ATV, A Teacher's Voice. And I wouldn't respond negatively to him. I mean, he's entitled to his opinion.
Yes.
And I don't hold it against him. Incidentally, right after he made those statements, I met him at a general council meeting.
Okay.
And I made it my business to go and meet him.
Yes.
And shake his hand.
Okay.
And he looked at me and he said, he was quiet for a little while, and then he said, I want you to know something. I have nothing personal against you.
Yes.
And I appreciate him saying that. I have nothing personal against you. But we are on separate teams, we are on different teams. And I play to win.
Yes.
He told me this thing. I play to win, and I play hard.
Okay.
Right? But he more or less apologized and said, look, this is politics and this is the way it's played. And I understood that, I'm not so sure I agree with him. In fact, I don't agree with him. Right? I believe in truth. That we need to speak truth at all times. Right? I understand recently he made this statement again on another website online. Wow. So I don't know. He's still playing the game. He's still playing the game.
But the thing about it, do you think, based on what he said, the person said, if you come into office, you win the elections and so on, General Secretary, do you think that he will support you thereafter, after all the dust have been settled and so on?
Well, what I know of the gentleman, I think he will. Okay. I think he will. I think he really has the interest of the union at heart.
Yes.
And I just don't agree with the position he's taken.
Okay. Now, some people are saying that you are nothing short of a neophyte, and that you haven't served on the ground sufficiently to seek national office. When they say serve on the ground, they mean serve as staff rep, as zonal convener, floor member, and so on. What is your response?
Well, there are parallel experiences that I've had, and that is something I would point out to people, because TTUTA is not unique in that sense. I mean, we have had many cases where people move from one industry to another, sometimes completely different industries.
Yes.
But their experiences in the first industry does, account for something, and they are recognized for what they have done there.
Yes.
Many teachers are like that. They may not be involved in the union, but they may be involved in other enterprises. A lot of teachers are involved in philanthropy, and they do a lot of work out there. So I think it's not right to discredit people on the basis of just looking at their experience in the union. Now I understand that, yes, I'm vying for a top office.
Yes.
Right? But it's not, as I mentioned before sometime earlier, that it's not just about experience. The critical factor really is institutional knowledge. And you can get institutional knowledge from a number of ways, not just experience. You can get critical knowledge by looking at reports from the past. You can get institutional knowledge from speaking to people who are involved. There are many ways.
There are various ways, that's right, yes.
So it's building of the institutional knowledge that will make a difference. So that is a factor, really, not so much experience. On the other side of the coin, there are some experiences that actually make things worse. Right? There is research out there that shows when a particular organization has the same people in the same post for too long, you actually get negative growth.
Yes, yes.
Alright, so experience, you have to weigh what is going on in terms of the experience. Again, I'm not involved in mudslinging, but it has been pointed out that there are people involved in the union who makes the union worse than what they really are, despite how many years of experiences they have in the union. So that would be my response. If you check my track record in other areas, particularly philanthropy in the church,
yes.
I'm involved in the Wing Care Center of Trinidad, which is a new enterprise, hopefully that will be launched soon. I'm one of the directors there. We have leadership experiences in different ways, okay? Right? And I would bring some of that to bear in the union. One more thing I should probably point out. It is probably because of my lack of experience in the union that some people are saying, you're the person for the job. Right? Because the union has been around for about 30 years. And despite some people being there since day one, it really has not changed much in the last 50 years. Right? We note that there's a particular team that wins elections over and over for the last 15 years. If you don't change anything in terms of your methods, in terms of getting people,
it's not the same.
Results going to be the same.
Yes, thanks a lot, yes.
So, I'm presenting myself, I'm not fighting for a post, I'm not worried about whether I lose or win. Really, I'm not. I believe that God has control of my life.
Yes.
And if He sees fit for me to be in office, I will be in office regardless of who says what.
That's correct.
That's my motto.
I agree with that, sir. What does that song mean? It means it's time for tonight's Conscious Vibes. Let's now listen to the song, Conscious Vibes.
Some people in the world today don't realize that worries don't pay. Plenty people in the world today don't realize that worries don't pay. Resting the worries upon your shoulder, only bringing you older and older. These wicked things them people does do. You don't realize you have worries too. Tell them to never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I said to tell them never ever worry. Don't mind how you're suffering bad. Never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. Always consider somebody suffering more than you.
Mr. Barry, what is your perspective about tonight's artist on the segment Conscious Vibes? The Lord Pretender and his song.
Never worry. I agree with that philosophy actually, and in fact the scripture also. There's a whole cliche, if you want to call it that says, why worry when you can pray?
Alright.
And that's my view on that. I mean, in fact, some of us only pray when there's some sort of crisis, you know?
Yeah.
But that's about it. I mean, you in a situation, you pray.
Do you ever worry?
Of course, to a certain extent, I mean, it's human nature to worry. But at that point in time, when you realize, well, you know, God always has things under control, well, then you change that worry to faith.
Okay, yes.
Right? And you trust in Him to deal with it. In fact, you can't exercise faith unless there's a situation that requires you to do it.
All right, okay, excellent. Mr. Barry, this UTT dilemma, we're in the situation right now, has been going on, I believe, since 2006. And it seems as though the union is persevering with the issue. Can you elucidate to the viewers the entire situation? And please give us your perspective on how you plan to solve this problem when you get into office.
Well, the UTT matter is actually a long-winded matter. It will take too long to really go into details of everything that transpired. Let's see if I can summarize a bit. 2006, I believe it was, there were students at both the Desaine campus and Kirk Teachers College who were told that there's a new program and they want them to get involved in the program. And that their previous contract, which was a 2-year contract, they wanted to shove that contract so that these students would be able to pursue the BL instead, which was, I think, an additional 2 years. Yes. Of course, between you and I mean, if you have to choose between 2 years and 4 years, you're going to naturally want to stay with 2 years. So there must have been some sort of incentive for them to do that. My understanding is that the incentive was that they were told that if you complete this BL program, go that extra mile, we will make you graduate teachers. And the understanding the students had at that time was graduate teachers meant teacher threes, right? Teacher threes. So, teacher threes if you were talking about secondary school and so on. I'm not so sure the concept of graduate teachers, how it relates to primary school, but the bottom line is the understanding was that as soon as we're finished, we will become teacher threes. Now, when I heard about this situation, it wasn't all that long ago, probably just about a year ago that I heard about this. When I heard about this, I was a bit alarmed that this had been going on for so long. And I began to ask questions. there's a young lady by the name of Valerie Patrick who was very vocal about the whole thing. And I messaged her and said, Valerie, tell me about this and what is going on. And she wrote a response and explained what transpired, how it developed, and so on and so forth. I took her response and I made it into a document. Yes. And I uploaded it on Teacher's Voice because I wanted everyone else to know this is what is going on. You see, I'm an average teacher, and I considered myself well aware of many things, and yet still, I had not really known the details of what transpired with UTD. And so when it came to my knowledge, I thought, well, at least I could try to help people understand this is what is going on.
Yes.
And so my first step in trying to help the UTD teachers was simply to spread the word, this is what is happening. Right? What we discovered when we started looking at the documents that came in was that the new contract that we received, really wasn't a contract at all. Right? Because there was a clause in there that says that after the teachers completed, I'm paraphrasing, after the teachers completed their program of study, they may be considered for graduate teacher status. Whereas in the previous contract, it was more definitive.
Yes.
You will be a teacher on graduation. So it was clear to me that they fooled those teachers. They pulled the wool over their eyes. What made it even more disturbing was to find out that at the time the students themselves didn't like what was going on. They didn't like what they saw on paper, and they asked the union advice for what to do.
Yes.
And to cut a long story short, in the end, I think it was Mr. Barry, the president at the time, who actually advised them, go ahead and sign it. Okay? I understand that some of the students even went so far as to get a lawyer's opinion. And the lawyer said to them, this is not a contract. Alright? Don't sign this. Or if you have to sign it with a note that says, with reservation. That you can indicate that you have a problem with some things in there. Okay. I was told that some teachers actually did that, and when they presented the documents, it was rejected. Which indicates to me that the Ministry of Education, the agents of the Ministry of Education knew very well what they were doing.
That's right.
Right? So the intention was wicked from the beginning. Alright? What I'm a bit disappointed about is that it's taking so long to deal with. And I really do not believe the union has been giving the teachers the support they need. There might be only so much the union could do, but the moral support is important as well.
Yes.
Okay? I'm not saying that the officers haven't tried what they ought to try, but I'm saying sometimes, when people are going through their distress, you just need to hold their hands.
Yes.
Or pat them on the back and tell them it's going to be okay.
I'm there.
I'm there with you.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not seeing that kind of support from the union.
Okay. But the thing about it, we are seeing that this process is protracted and so on. Now, on the 24th of October, this is a supposition. You become the General Secretary. What are you going to do? Besides, yes, I'm a teacher, I'm going through the situation, you are there holding my hands, yes, I agree with that and everything. But I need more than that.
Well, the first thing I'm going to have to do is consult with the new officers.
Yes,
naturally.
of course.
I'm going to have to sit down and find out from the inside what is going on. Because I'm still a teacher on the outside, only presenting what I know from the outside.
Yes.
I'm sure there are things on the inside related to this matter that I'm aware of.
Okay.
So I would need to do a proper assessment first. But one thing that I pledged to do, and I have been doing, is to highlight the problem.
Yes.
Alright? And as General Secretary, that can be done a lot better.
Okay.
Alright, so I don't need permission from anybody else to do that per se.
Yes. That's what you do right now as well. Yeah.
The website is one area that has to be improved. Why not have a write-up about the UTT issue on the website? The genesis of it. Because after so long, people are beginning to question whether this was really so or that was really so. And TTUTA has had a poor record for keeping records. They have a poor record for keeping records because, I mean, even basic things like the history of the association, we have a skeletal view of that. And from time to time, teachers want to know,
Yes.
how was this done before? What did we do here? Especially at this point in time when teachers are asking questions for reactions. It is helpful to know what did these officers who are not presenting themselves done in the past. Right? It's helpful to know the people who are backing them.
Yes.
What their positions and submissions.
Yes. What are the rest of the team? So we spoke about the EVT issue. I want us to look now at CAC. What is your take on the continuous assessment component? Teachers are saying that it is rushed and it is devoid of any implementation plan. In other words, it is nothing short of ad hoc. What do you have to say about this? And what can be done to resolve the myriad of problems that teachers face regarding CSC?
Well, the principles behind CSC is something I agree to, and I think the union as well, they have put forward a statement some time ago saying more or less that, I mean, continuous assessment is something that they have agreed to since about 15 years ago. Okay? So that's nothing new. The concept is not new, the union had agreed to it before. The problem is the implementation. Right? You wonder whether the Ministry of Education didn't even think about change management issues. How is this going to impact in the short term?
Yes.
Right? Now, we have to recognize that politicians think differently from educators. That's a reality we have to face. Right? Politicians are thinking, what do I need to do to make sure 5 years from now I'm going to get re-elected?
So they have them more thinking of their own as well.
Well, I wouldn't want to put words in anybody else's mouth. But the reality is, from the political perspective, they are going to think, I need to get things done very quickly because in 5 years' time people are going to call me to account.
Yes.
And I understand that. And I understand that that is the reason why some politicians will be pushing things very quickly. But that is detrimental. Right? I've been advocating online that we need to do either one of two things. We either need to depoliticize education or use a bipartisan approach to education. Okay? Right? I'm for the bipartisan approach. I personally believe that educational matters, you need to have in Parliament a committee of people that are across the board, from the government side, from the opposition side, from independents, put them together, formulate plans for education for a long-term basis. Right? What do we want to see our education system like 20 years from now, or 10 years from now at least? All right? Do a gap analysis and create a strategic plan that all political parties will agree to. Okay? So it doesn't matter who gets into office, we know what we're about and we can continue that way. All right? And it's sad that education, I guess we can't avoid it, but it's sad that education is a political football. Yes, it is. All right? I believe that there's a lot the union could do in regards to that, in terms of bringing forward some of those ideas and some of those concepts to bear. The union has done fairly well, in my view, of articulating where we stand with regard to CAC. Right? We agree in principle, but we need to put the structure in place. Okay? We agree that this is best in the long term, but it shouldn't be rushed. Right? And you need to crawl before you can run.
I agree.
All right? So that's my position on that.
Okay, now I have here in it's the Guardian, Monday, September 23rd, page A10. It says, parents call for legal action to stop CSC. Parents of pupils at Grant Memorial Presbyterian School, they are given the parent school organization a mandate to take legal action against the Ministry of Education to stop the continuous assessment component of the essay examination next month. What is your take on this?
I wish them good luck. I am not certain whether that would succeed or not. The Constitution gives the minister certain powers with regard to function of the office with regard to policy, decision making, and so on. So I'm not certain whether they have a case that they can fight on that.
Okay.
I understand the concerns, I empathize with them. But I'm not a lawyer, so I wouldn't know for certain how strong such a case is.
Okay, okay. Now, it seems as though once the continuous assessment component is being implemented, concomitantly the PCR is also being implemented. We know PCR stands for Primary Curriculum Rewrite. For short, we say new curriculum, alright? Now, many teachers and principals are being used with this new curriculum. Some of them don't know what to do, regardless to the many workshops they may have went to. They may have gone to rather. What do you think, do you think too many things are happening at the same time, Mr. Barry?
Oh, definitely, and that's why I alluded to the fact that I'm wondering, I shouldn't say fact, I've been wondering whether the Ministry of Education did not consult with any change management experts to deal with these things, because some of these things are creating serious shock in the system. So.
Okay. I have heard that when you do too many things at the same time, sometimes you end up doing nothing. I have heard that you said already. You end up doing absolutely nothing. So it is causing havoc in the education system. I agree with that totally. Now, I want to ask a very a question here, and I need you to tell me exactly what I know you have been honest thus far. Now, I know you are nothing short of optimistic. I know that based on my ability to discuss thus far, I've realized that you are very, very optimistic. But suppose, this is a supposition, suppose you don't win the elections. What happens to Mr. Barry? What happens to Mr. Barry?
Well, my answer is, I think I must have said it before, that I believe every person has a purpose.
You mentioned that, yes.
That God has put you on the planet for. And my responsibility is to seek the Lord to find out what that plan is and get with His plan. Right? I may have desires and so on, and the scripture says once I commit myself to the Lord, He will grant the desires of my heart.
Yes.
And so I trusted Him in that regard. I also made a commitment to those online that regardless of the outcome of the elections, I will be involved. There is a candidate right now who is on another team. I've had talks with her in the past. This was prior to the election heating up and so on. But I've had talks with her in the past, and she actually asked if I would get involved in the professional advancement committee.
Okay.
Because she said, I listened to what you say online, and you have a lot to contribute to education, and I would want you to get involved. And I accepted. Right? Unfortunately, she said that the politics of the situation does not allow for me to get involved right away.
Yes.
But I did make a commitment to get involved. So that regardless of what happens, I will still be involved in TTUTA in some way or other.
That's good to listen.
Right?
That's good.
And those talks, by the way, with the candidates from the other teams, I've been having little talks here and there, informal talks. Not formal talks at all, informal talks. I've even heard from some camps that they think their candidate is weak. Alright?
Yes.
And it brings to bear something that I've been saying online for a while about teams.
Yes.
You see, because you're in a team and that person is a team member, you can't come out and speak the truth.
That's correct. That's correct.
Alright, and that's one of the problems I have with this team thing. So I understand the need for synergy, I understand the need for being a team player and those principles. I mean, I've studied leadership. Right? Group dynamics is a major part of what I have to learn about. And of course, you've had experiences in life with things like that. But the reality is, none of these candidates can come out and say what they really want to say.
That's correct.
Right? And I opted to run as an independent. That was one of the reasons. Okay? I was approached by one of the teams to be a candidate, and I refused. Okay? I am not going to be on a team with anybody I don't know. Okay? I observed online that there was a team that put together, and the week after it was announced they were put together, all of a sudden friends requests start going across the Facebook between the team members. So they didn't even know each other before the team.
Oh, okay.
Alright, so how am I going to put forward an argument to people to vote for this team member?
I don't know that person.
And I really don't know that person.
Yes.
And in my heart I really feel the other guy is better.
That's correct.
So my whole thing is that I believe in truth.
Yes.
God is truth.
Mm-hmm.
If I say I'm a child of God, I need to speak truth as well.
Okay.
Right? And I'm not going to put myself in a position where I have to compromise the truth.
Okay. Now, Mr. Barry, some people are saying that they want to see a debate. They want the candidates to come and to articulate their points and everything. Let's suppose we organize that. Are you willing to be a part of that debate?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely willing to be part of that debate. In fact, we have been calling for that debate online all the time, but these guys won't show up.
Okay. Well, what I intend to do, I intend to message these people, these candidates and everything, and I am really trying. As a matter of fact, I have started a process already, whereby we can have a debate in some school, whereby teachers can be a part of it as well, and whereby the candidates can come and defend their views and articulate their views and so on. Okay? Alright. What does that song mean? It's time for the next question. Know your tutor. I want to find out, do you know your tutor?
Who was the first president of the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association? Call me at 769-3752. That's 769-3752. Call me. Who was the first president of the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association? Call me at 769-3752. That's 769-3752. If you have the answer, if you know the answer, just call.